Good morning, and welcome to the 2022 Capstone Symposium for the Master of Advanced Studies program in Marine Biodiversity and Conservation. My name is Samantha Murray, and I'm the Executive Director of the MAS MBC program. Welcome, and thank you for being here during Ocean Week. So we are here today to learn about the work of our 16 master's students and what they've been up to over the last year that we've been together at Scripps. This is the third year that our students have been impacted by the COVID pandemic. And while we've been fortunate to be able to do most of our work together in person, including the symposium, this is the first time we've been able to all be together with guests in the symposium in 3 years. So I want to just thank you all so much for being here. It makes it even more of an honor to be here in community with all of you today. We are broadcasting live from Scripps Institution of Oceanography at UC San Diego. And we are in La Jolla on ancestral traditional lands of the Kumeyaay people. Today, I would like to acknowledge all California Native American communities who have inhabited California lands and waters for thousands of years. We at Scripps honor and respect the diverse indigenous people who are deeply connected to the fish, wildlife, and the habitats we study. In the MAS MBC program, we examine our colonial history with the ocean and the continuing inequitable impacts that history has had on the conservation movement. Throughout the year, we interrogate our own bias and our role in perpetuating the marginalization of historically underrepresented communities. And we take seriously our responsibility to amplify and uplift the research, science, and knowledge of Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and Asian American voices. We do our work together with and with much respect and gratitude for those who have lived in California since time immemorial. It is an extraordinary honor to be here in person with all of you and to be here live streaming to all of you who are in your homes. So thank you for being here and for making the time. I want to just give you a round of applause for being here. So the work you'll hear about today is different. It's innovative, timely, and it is interdisciplinary. Our students look at the science, the policy, the economic, and the social issues of marine conservation together through multiple lenses. It's a groundbreaking way of tackling the challenges we face in the ocean today in 2022. And this approach allows our students to build a fresh perspective on the most pressing challenges we face and craft outside-the-box innovative solutions during our 12 months together. As a result, our program has far-reaching impacts at the local, state, national, and global scale, where we are quite literally transforming the face of ocean conservation leadership, both in approach and in representation. Because gone are the days, in my view, of single-discipline solutions, silver bullet solutions for the challenges we face on our planet. We cannot affect change on ocean policy without also understanding marine ecology. We cannot protect biodiversity without also enhancing access by nature-deprived communities. Indeed, we cannot face our global emergency on climate without also facing our reckoning on race and equity. So as a result, the work you'll hear about today is innovative, relevant, and interdisciplinary by design. And this is where it usually starts. This is the view from our Eckhart building on Scripps campus. It's where students work on GIS projects, they learn R, they make films, they practice their presentations, and they write their papers. And it's where we house our master's program. Except this year, it sort of wasn't. This year, our students met here last June in a tent on Upper Campus, not at the pier, not with a view of the coast, not next to our custom-built, dedicated surf shack. We met here for 10 weeks from 9 to 4 every day, sometimes longer. I know, sometimes it was longer, in this outdoor teaching tent on Upper Campus. There were no dips in the ocean over our lunch breaks, and it was not always easy. We rented a student lounge, we bought lockers, we bought chairs. Thank you, Allison Kellum, sitting in the room today. We bought each student a power pack because these tents didn't actually have power. We rented tables, we kept our distance, we wore our masks, we sanitized a lot, And man, I know some of us have feelings about this tent. I have feelings about this tent, and yet I think it was worth it. And I hope one day students also look back on it that way too. If not now, then eventually. Because this is where it all started. This was taken at orientation when a group of strangers got together last June to meet in person after being alone for so many months on Zoom. It was intense and it was a lot all at once. But most of us were pretty excited to be here. We got to know each other in person, and we even got to know the outgoing MAS MBC students too, who were also taking the summer course. And we even got to take our masks off when we were outside the tent. We felt the ground under our feet, and we felt the grass, and we built community, and we learned on this day that I have a body. We learned about economic theory in the tent, and we sold fishing permits. We made films, and we met 85 topical experts and instructors last summer. And we seeded new relationships with folks who went on to serve as our mentors, our capstone chairs, our advisors, and essential teachers for the work we did together. Being back in person after over a year of Zoom, especially meeting so many people at once, having so little time to ourselves, it was hard. The days were long, and sometimes it felt like this, like we might never find our way through it all. But we continued on, and we invested in our education, in expanding our minds, in understanding diverse perspectives, and in networking and relationships. And we even met some of our heroes. In the end, these relationships with new mentors, heroes, visionaries, these have made us better critical thinkers, more self-aware of our own positionality, and more understanding of where we've been to inform where we must go next. Indeed, these heroes have shaped the capstone projects you're going to hear about today on climate justice, communities, culture, seafood, and collaborative solutions. Surely there were times we wanted to throw in the towel, to say to hell with this tent and rebel against it all. Yes. I admit that I felt that way more than once, and I for sure was not the only person who cried in that tent. But it was those quiet moments of peace, silence, and solitude, with our feet on the ground, realizing we were growing and learning, that kept us going. The labs were fun. Labs outside in a tent. What could possibly go wrong? It sounds so easy. We had space to spread out, high ceilings, all the fresh air we could want. Labs outside, though, are a special kind of challenge that I wouldn't wish on anyone because all the specimens are down the hill at Scripps. The microscopes also down the hill at Scripps. And so we rolled those microscopes around with a cart. We moved countless specimens in and out of Orna's Prius and the Scripps pickup trucks. And those 22 microscopes required a lot of care because each one is worth tens of $1,000s. We had to buy LED lights, gooseneck lights for each microscope because, again, we didn't have power in the tent. So we needed to have battery-operated lights to use the microscopes. I will note, MAS MBC program now has an inventory of lockers, chairs, power packs, LED lights, so please contact me afterwards for inquiries if you would like to purchase some of these things we hope to never need again. We did more science on the Sproul with Dr. Greg Rouse, and this year we went for 4 days out on the Sproul because we still had COVID cap limits. And there were lots of good times doing science this summer on the Sproul. We fell in love with the deep sea. We fell in love with dog-face witch eels. I think that's what that was. Greg, you can tell me if I'm wrong after. We socialized with our new network of experts after spicy panels and heated conversations. We got better at table tennis. And there was a lot of chocolate. I cut it there. Yeah, because let's be honest, most of our happy hours were more or less sponsored by Trader Joe's, who provides all the chocolate. Snacks are, in fact, an important part of the summer course and what makes us tick. And we take those snacks to some pretty special places along the California coast to fuel the science and fuel these views. These were all taken in Rancho Marino, where students went and got to visit a really incredibly special place that most people aren't able to check out because it's a UC reserve. And with that, at the end, we left the tent, and we left it the way that we found it, totally empty, and found our way to Scripps, finally. It wasn't easy to gear ourselves up for the fall after a long, intensive summer, but with some positive self-talk and some affirmations, we got through it. We got back at it for fall and beyond. We learned about the intricacies of negotiation and facilitation. We lost Risa Farrell to the alumni department, but we gained Pitar and Meg, which is a wonderful asset to the program. Some of us went to the UN climate negotiations in Scotland, and we continued to learn from alumni and continued the important conversations. We practiced our storytelling and we expanded our networks. In all honesty, there really was an astonishing layering of challenging and painful events and circumstances co-occurring this academic year on top of a global pandemic. We have all been forever changed by the last couple of years. There have been droughts and wildfires, earthquake and floods in Haiti, endless battles over voting rights, Hurricane Ida in LA, a military withdrawal in Afghanistan, a war in Ukraine, an ongoing assault on reproductive and healthcare rights, countless mass shootings, including in schools, the murder of Black people and hateful acts against trans people, and violence against Asian American, Pacific Islander, and historically marginalized communities. These realities need to be said out loud because they continued throughout the year on top of everything else, and it was challenging. It was an extraordinary, difficult time for me to teach, and I know it had to be a difficult time to learn as well. But this is precisely what inspires me so much about this program and about these particular students and today's symposium. In times that can feel hard, cause anxiety, feel hopeless, there is so much hope in this room today. This room is, in fact, brimming with hope. Not ignorant hope, not head in the sand hope, but informed, well-reasoned, rational hope. And that's exciting. The 16 students presenting today have diverse lived experiences, unique identities, hold varied perspectives and ideas, and that is what allows for the robust discussions and the critical thinking. These students were professionals before they even came to us. They are educators, dancers, clowns, scientists, organizers, advocates, lawyers, musicians, entrepreneurs, filmmakers, and more. We see these varied professional backgrounds as experiential assets that allow all of us to better innovate, reimagine, and create together. And you'll see these backgrounds coming through in the presentations today. The sky is the limit on what the folks in this room can do. They have been diving in, incubating, and pursuing their capstone projects all year. And you will hear about their research, their performances, their surveys, their papers, and the story maps that they've created. I am confident you'll be impressed. But more importantly, you will find them to be authentic, innovative, earnest, and impassioned, because these presentations and these projects, they really mean it. They put their hearts, their souls, and everything they have into them, because they really do want to move the needle on ocean conservation, on access, on equity, on climate, and on a blue planet that is livable into the future. And for that, I am honored and grateful to be here today. So thank you for making space in your day to be here too. Before we hear from the first speakers today, I just want to take a moment to thank some of the folks who make this program possible. I want to thank PhD students who mentor our students, MAS MBC alumni for stepping up in mentorship panels, capstone advising, individuals and external organizations and agencies who work with and guide our students, even in COVID times. All of our summer course instructors in 2021 for agreeing to join us last year. For so many of those instructors, it was their first time being in person anywhere and their first time being around people. Everyone at the SAO department and the staff at Scripps. All of our faculty members who really have stepped up as Capstone Advisory Committee members, including Isabel Rivera-Collazo, Dick Norris, Lisa Levin, Octavio Alberto, so many others. And Vice Chancellor Margaret Leinen and Assistant Vice Chancellor Patrick Callahan, Dennis Brand, Ken Hall, everyone who created solutions to our many facilities challenges. Donna Shabke and Romy Apostle for their support in this space. Steve Bennett, our tireless communication consultant, Allison Kellum and Allison Rowe for all the work behind the scenes, especially leading up to the next summer. Kat Montgomery and Carly Chabot for all the work to be TAs last summer. I don't know how we got so lucky to have them. It was a Herculean task that they took on. Risa Farrell, Pitar Nastowski, Meg Emity for all the support of the program. Dr. Greg Rouse, Dr. Mark Jacobson, faculty co-chairs who support and tirelessly advise our students. And most importantly, I want to thank the 16 students in the room today themselves for choosing our program, for sticking to it, even when it was really hard, and I know that it was, and for having great ideas and for sharing them with us today. Before we begin, just want to remind those who are live streaming that you can text your questions in. There should be a banner on the live channel so you can see the number. We'll take your questions live during the presentations. And please also, this now it feels like an advertisement, please also follow us on Instagram. We will be doing live updates all day. The handle is Scripps MAS MBC. So with that, I want to just welcome everyone here again today, and we will hand it over to our first speakers of the day.